Good morning. It is Taco Tuesday. Who survived the storms from last night? Call me Captain Obvious. I'm going to say everyone. Thank goodness. Now, for those of you that have not heard about this case, I am going to get you caught up. We speak about this case a lot in the Crime Lines and Lies Facebook group, and I have a playlist from when I first started talking about this case. I had just started my channel in June of 2021. I met a tremendous woman named Bree Mikolo. And I probably am mispronouncing her name because, I have a habit of doing that. I reached out to her, told her I have a little channel, and would love to have her come on. She did. And so did her sweet mama. Now, with that came, as a lot of you remember, a lot of harassment. You see, because this POS, Gregor, he didn't like anybody talking about what he knew was about to come down. Now, I know that we keep it really light around here, and some people will say too light. There is nothing light about this case. But as I always promise, OJ, get down. Go watch your squirrels, OJ. As I promise in every case, we're going to follow it to the end. Now, the end is near because the trial is going on right now. It's on court TV. Many people ask me, are we going to cover the trial? I think what we'll do is updates and things like that because, well, it's horrific. It's awful. It's the worst. And I think we went through a lot with the Gannon case. I'm going to take a second and tell Pat and Angel, thank you for making it. Woo! Now, before we get to our normal how do you do's, let's tell our friend Wolfcat happy birthday. Happy birthday, Wolfcat. I'm glad you're feeling better and you're back here with us on your birthday of all days. My goodness. Now, I started getting a little bit of attention. Had I known then what I know now. Because I was flat out calling out this piece of shit. For many reasons. This case is a testament to what we do around here. And there's no pat on the back for me, okay? I'm just saying it's okay to have your opinion and use your gut, your instinct, and your intuition. Because I caught a lot of hell, as some of you remember, for pointing the finger at this dude's wedding. That's before people started using words like tragedy pimp, tragedy pimp, tragedy pimp. You're a tragedy. You're exploiting the family. You're exploiting the family. Look at you. Oh my God. You have no proof. You have no proof. You have no proof. Well, the proof is now in the pudding because they're on trial. And it's beyond horrible what this man did to his son. I mean, it is Horrible. Couldn't have said it better myself, Salt and Cayenne. The proof is now in the courtroom. Susan remembers. Snow remembers. We got eyes and ears for a reason. Use them. Use them. Sometimes the facts are right is what's right in front of our eyes. And what we have seen and what we can put together, like we say on here, coincidence becomes evidence. Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of coincidence going on in that courtroom right now. Now, I did speak to Bree Miklow's mama last night, and she is sort of forgotten in this case. She is definitely a victim as well. She loves her grandson, Corey. Who couldn't? Look at that little guy. Look at him. The hell that monster has put that family through is unforgivable. In March of 2021 is when this piece of shit, Christopher Greger, put his son on a treadmill. I'm going to show you the video in a minute. I just got to kind of get you ready for it because it's a lot. He said he was too fat. He kept picking him up, putting him back on it. Even bit him on the head. Well, in early April, Bree, who was Corey's mama, reported the injuries, took him to a doctor, but no emergency protection was put in. It wasn't long after that Mr. Greger took Corey to the hospital because he woke up stumbling, slurring, and had nausea. During his CT scan, he had a seizure and died. Whoa, you've got to be kidding me. He's a rageaholic. He's a narcissist. He's an abuser. A little bit. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Well, let's get to it. First off, many of you reached out to me last night wanting to know if OJ and I survived. We did, but I can't say the same for people that are an hour north of us. This is a little taste of what was going on last night.
Crews that are out in the field and still keeping an eye with what we've got out there. I believe we have Brody again. Brody, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, can you hear me?
I've got you, sir. What have you got? I know you've been on your way to Barnesall. Looks like you are there.
Yeah, we are. And behind me, you can see a couple down power lines. That one is right in the middle of the road. There's one over here beyond the intersection. The actual power pole is down. A lot of emergency vehicles down this way on this road at the end of the highway. We're going to see if it's safe to go over there. It's pretty hard to see right now. There's still some rain and some lightning here in Barnesdall, but appears to be some search and rescue efforts going on underway right now. And we're going to try to get some better pictures, but wanted to get something on the air soon and update you. We've got calls into the sheriff's department. We're going to check with them, see where it's safe to go, and we'll bring you more.
Brody, just out of curiosity, we had the tornado earlier in the year in Barnesdall. What are you seeing that might be different compared to what we had with the tornado earlier in the season?
It seems to be a more widespread area of damage, at least by first glance. The last time we were here in Barnesdall, it was just a neighborhood with a few sporadic houses damaged. This seems like a much bigger situation. I do not remember seeing this many emergency vehicles lights on.
I appreciate that. Brody Myers, they're coming live from Barnsdall. Again, unfortunately, Barnsdall taking a hit from a tornado again this evening. It was looked to be a fairly strong tornado.
Oh, it's bad. Now that the light is on, if you know what I mean, the sun's up, we can see what's going on over there. Diane, thank you for the super sticker. Still Waters gifted a membership. Y'all are making me blush. By the way, you never know when we're going to pop in and do a members live. We had quite the hoot yesterday on the members live. Now, Angel P, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but there's some big words I could use your help with if you have time to come up. If you can't, totally understandable, because this case is horrific. I mean, it's horrific. Freaking horrific. Here's a little more of the background. The initial autopsy revealed that Corey died as a result of blunt force injuries with cardiac and liver contusions with inflammation and sepsis. Piece of shit was arrested in July of 2021 on charges of child neglect after investigators reviewed the horrific surveillance footage from the gym. Specifically by having Corey run on a treadmill and increasing the speed, causing Corey to fall, placing him back on the moving treadmill while appearing to bite his head, causing the said child to fall several more times, is what the arrest warrant read. Corey's death was determined to be a homicide in September of 2021 after a forensic pathologist found that the 6-year-old suffered from chronic abuse, including blunt impact injuries on his chest and abdomen, with a laceration on his heart, left pulmonary contusion, and laceration and contusion of his liver. I'm going to bring up the one and only Angel P. Let's please have a round of applause for our girl Angel. I am so glad you are here, sister. Thank you for always saving my ass, because I'm going to need your help with some big words. I mean, I can pronounce them, but I just need somebody a little more educated to help me. Okay,
Well,
did the dad work at the gym? It's at his apartment complex.
boy, this case is a doozy.
Oh, it is. We're going to go through just a little bit of the autopsy. Okay?
Okay.
This autopsy was attended by CSI and the prosecutor's office. Final anatomic diagnosis: multiple contusions with different stages of duration. Could you explain that, please?
Multiple contusions is basically a contusion is a fancy way of saying a bruise. So he had multiple bruises. Yes, ma'am.
With different stages of duration. I'll come back to that, because these pictures that his mother posted publicly. There's his head. That's a bruise she found on his side.
Oh my, that looks like a liver contusion.
And that's his portal eye.
Oh my gosh.
And he appears in this picture to have a bite mark on him.
Oh boy, it does look like a bite mark.
All right, number 2. Epicardial contusion with myocardial laceration with acute inflammatory reaction.
So epicardial is the area surrounding your heart. Kind kind of like epidermis is the top layer of your skin. When you say that epicardial, that's a contusion to the heart. And when you've got a myocardial laceration, that is, that is a tear in the heart.
Mm-hmm. 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 Number 3, small superficial laceration of the liver with inflammatory reaction and evidence of sepsis.
So there was actually a laceration of the liver. Obviously, that's not a normal thing that our liver deals with. So they must have saw something that showed them that there was inflammation, bad probably in that area. And then, when you get a contusion of an organ, you can very easily get sepsis because that will get in your bloodstream. And sepsis, we've talked about it before. It's a whole domino effect of what happens in your bloodstream when this happens. It's usually very, very fatal.
And I don't think all of this is from falling down, but we're going to get to that because the forensic pathologist said this is from chronic abuse, not just treadmill, as if the treadmill wasn't bad enough. Then number 4, visceral congestion.
Visceral congestion. I'm not really sure what area they're talking about there. Let's see. Small superficial laceration of the liver, reaction to visceral congestion. I'm not really sure unless there was congestion in his lungs. I'm not really sure what that's talking about.
Unless it's his eyes.
Yeah, that's another good point. Yeah, you're right. I love it when you catch me off guard, but that's okay. We'll make it.
I was just thinking vision, visine.
Vision, yes. Yeah, you're right.
You're in good hands here, my friends. I promise. Just don't listen to me. All right, so this is where we're at. So we're gonna backtrack a little bit and get everyone up to speed. And as you know, I will be interrupting quite frequently.
Trial for New Jersey man Christopher Greger is slated to begin tomorrow. The defendant stands accused in the 2021 death of his 6-year-old son, Corey Michelow. The child's father brought him to the hospital after he appeared lethargic after a nap, slurring his words and stumbling. At the hospital, Michelow suffered seizures during a CT scan and died soon after. The young victim's death was deemed a homicide after his autopsy revealed blunt force trauma. This was not the first time Greger was arrested for
I can't imagine the pain that child was in, having a tear and contusions to some of those organs. That's very painful. That's horrible.
And there were multiple calls to the police. There were multiple calls to CPS. And had that judge been on his game and signed what was requested, which was an emergency removal, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Because on early April, Bree took Corey to the doctor to show the bruises and everything going on. Because it's not playing too rough. He comes back from his dad's and he's always got bruises and stuff on him. Then she hears about how he kept putting him back on the treadmill. She takes him to the doctor. CPS did nothing. 100 different reports.
What state was this in?
New Jersey.
Okay.
I covered the protest that the mom, the grandma, and everyone did. They were out. We were on there for hours. And
I must have lost my mind. I don't believe that. I mean, I don't remember any of this. I don't know if I was on vacation or if it was right before I joined, but I've been with you over 2 years and I don't even remember you covering any of this.
This was in June, July, and August of 2021. And when they got him on first degree, due to well, the harassment that Bree and her mother and other people involved were getting. I said, just gonna let the police take care of it. We'll update here and there, which we've done. And when it gets to trial, then that ought to shut him up. Because it's horrible.
Mistreatment of his son. He was also arrested a month before his son's death on child endangerment. This came after surveillance footage surfaced of the defendant forcing Michelot to run on a treadmill at increasing speeds, despite his son repeatedly falling. Michelot's mother, Brianna, filed a wrongful death lawsuit against New Jersey's Department of Child Protection and Permanency for failing to investigate the dozens of abuse reports she allegedly filed against the defendant. She even filed an order for emergency custody days before her son's death. Civil trial attorney Dante Mills and trial attorney Alexis Rosenberg are here with me to discuss this and break it down. Dante, I'm going to start with you. There seems to be a lot of talk about directly linking Gregor to the death of his son. But what direct evidence do you think they're going to use to show that?
They're going to have a tough road here getting that direct evidence to say that he caused the death. Because you have an instance where he was making him run on a treadmill and he kept falling. And if the father says that happened again here and he must have hit his chest and it caused some kind of compressions, and then once he went in, he had that internal damage, it wasn't from me abusing my son. It was from me pushing my son because he wanted to work out
and that is going to be an argument. The defense is trying to discredit Bree. Of course, they're going to pick apart what the medical examiner has said. However, I don't know if this is going to be brought up in court or not, but when Bree got the phone call that Corey was at the hospital, basically all Christopher Gregor did was drop him off the hospital, and he hightailed it out of the state. He went down to some cabin in Tennessee and hung out because he was scared. Now, if it was an accident, would he not stay there with his little boy?
Well, absolutely. And the child was limp. I did see that. The child was limp when he carried him into the hospital emergency room. And of course, they did triage and they didn't realize how bad off he was. So, they sat in the waiting room for a little while. And then when they got back there, oh my gosh.
Woo! You don't expect a child to come in with those type of internal injuries.
Not unless they've been exposed to, trauma, like a car wreck or something.
And just like with investigators, you can medical professionals are the same way. All you can start with is what you've been told. So if he says, well, he woke up and he seemed a little dizzy, he's slurring a little bit, and he's nauseated. Then he wouldn't even tell Bree what hospital Corey was at.
Oh my goodness.
If him and Letitia had a child, he would be the Antichrist.
Well, he was telling that little boy he was fat when he was on that treadmill. That's a lie, that he wanted to do that. You can say that child is not fat.
Wes said, I don't like my grandson getting on the treadmill. He is 8. I tell him, why don't you just walk around the block instead? Because this is chronic child abuse. He was abusing him. This isn't a Peloton accident. This isn't a treadmill accident. This is chronic abuse, according to the forensic pathologist.
Yeah, because they said, multiple stages, or however they worded it, of duration, which to me says, various stages of healing. They occurred at different intervals at different times.
wanted to get stronger. And this was me encouraging him to do that. So this is a case where it may come down to are we allowed to push our children, and how far can we push them? Not necessarily abuse in a technical sense where you see someone actually physically hitting, but where you see someone pushing their child further maybe than they can go. If this is the same situation like the treadmill situation that happened, and the child's body just not holding up to that, now can the parent be responsible for putting a child in that situation?
Actually, that's a good point. We'll see if the defense goes in that direction. Alexis, one of the things that I'm wondering is, are they going to put the victim's mother on the stand to push the state's case forward? I think that would be something that they would do, particularly since she has allegedly filed all of these reports against her husband.
I agree with you, Terry. I think they're 100% going to put the mother.
And Bree was on the stand. We're going to go through her testimony. And just to correct our friends at Law and Crime, Christopher Greger was never her husband. Matter of fact, there's a lot to the story of how Corey came to be about. She told us on the show, we have, had a lot of conversations about it. He is an abuser, not just to children, but women, if I need to make it any more clear.
Oh my goodness. I don't mean to change the subject, and I'm really not, but this is May, and May is National Mental Health Awareness Month. So I'm glad that we are discussing this case, because there's a lot of violence, domestic violence in this case.
Oh, yeah. Susie Sue said, if I would have taken my child and ran if I saw all that. Well, she didn't. She wasn't there. They aren't together. They're not husband and wife. They don't live together. They share custody. That's the reason, if I didn't make myself clear before, that she filed for the protective order. She filed for the emergency removal. She had him at the doctor. I mean, you name it. There were multiple calls, pictures, you name it. Now, you have to remember, too, Christopher Greger's father is way up there with the state troopers.
Oh, great.
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to be like Harmony's case, where the system really, really failed this child?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's already glaring at me.
And put yourself in, well, just anyone's place. Your child comes home from seeing their dad, and they're like, oh, yeah, we had fun. Well, what's this bruise on you? Oh, we were playing basketball. Well, what's this? Oh, he was teaching me to ride a bike. And then suddenly you're like, and I'm not saying that's what happened here. Okay, I'm not putting words in anyone's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
If
Right.
the doctor and the police and the powers that be wouldn't help this child, I mean, I don't understand it. It's always the blame game in these cases. Well, this is what I would have done. This is what I would have done. I think she did everything that she could have. I do.
Yeah.
Of the child on the stand. She had filed a bunch of reports. She can testify as to what she witnessed, the basis for those reports. And I disagree with Dante a little here. I don't think this is going to be as hard to make that connection with the mother's testimony, with the reports she made, as well as with the medical examiner testifying to the injuries and that the child was with him around the time frame. So I think that it's going to be as hard as stated. I do believe also we still have the treadmill incident, which there's a video, which we do know that juries do like that type of evidence.
Yeah, there's nothing like a video. It's always something that you want to show a jury, if in fact you have a video. One of the other things is, what's the defense going to say? I know that there's some disagreement as to what they can say, Dante, but beyond having sort of a theory that you're pushing your child along, how is he going to defend himself against all of these reports that the mother has alleged?
Here's how I would do it. I would say that These reports came in. This was a situation where the mother and father did not get along, right? They had these things going back and forth against each other. I would say the reports were made because she didn't like him. And the reports were investigated, and it turned out that he was allowed to retain split custody of his son. That if something was going on, it would have been picked up by the people whose job it is to investigate that. So I'm using the reports to show they were out there, they had their eye on him, and nothing seemed to be off. So I'm using the fact that it was reported, but no consequences were given to show that he wasn't an abusive father.
Exactly. And Alexis, we talked a little bit about this offline, but there is a civil suit that the mother's bringing. What are your thoughts about that?
I think that she has a strong civil suit. I mean, we have to keep in mind that the standard is lower than in a criminal suit. First of all, we can all relate back to the OJ civil case. So
Look at his little face, though. Look at his little face.
That's tough, Brooks. This is tough.
And I understand where that attorney is coming from, because he's playing devil's advocate for the defense, saying they're going to say that nobody took this seriously. Doctors looked at him. All these people looked at him, and they didn't pick this up. So it's going to be hard. Snow said, no doubt every jury will have tears in their eyes with this case. We just pray, and I mean pray, not say you're going to pray. We just pray for the wisdom of that jury and for this prosecutor to explain it to him like you would talking to a 4-year-old. You've got to make it clear as glass for them. Now, this is the video. I totally understand if people have to get out and don't want to see it. This did not come out for several months after Corey died.
Oh, goodness.
Murdered. There was an intense investigation. It's almost like with his smug face, he's happy about his handiwork. Now,
Yeah,
remember,
he looks like a little thug punk.
He is. Oh, he is. And he has been coddled by mama and daddy. Let me tell you, I had a little them when all this was going on. Look, he's got nothing but pure contempt on his face watching that. Like, how dare you put that up there? Don't you know? Don't you know I was just trying to strengthen him up, toughen him up? Don't you know?
Yeah, well, that falls to the side when he starts biting him on the head and he starts falling, in my opinion. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Now you can see his father. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but he's at the top right of the video. So he's over at the top right and he's working out as well.
Yeah, I see him back there.
Okay, so he's working out, and this is a ridiculous statement, and I'm going to get butchered for this, but that's okay. I'm on a roll lately. So many children don't even realize that they're being tormented or abused. They think this is just how they spend time with dad,
Right.
or this is just how they spend time with mom.
Right.
They don't know the other side of the fence. They have no idea.
Well, I mean, it's his dad for Christ's sake. I mean, he's not gonna. Most children are naturally not gonna think that, are they? That they're being abused. They're just gonna think dad likes to work out, and that's why he wants me to work out all the time.
Yeah, hanging out with dad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's, boys, we get rough and tumble. That type of thing.
Right.
And that's what I worry about with this case. Are they going to prove that this is intentional? Are they going to be able to prove that? Or are all of these injuries going to be pure D chronic abuse? Like I said, I pray for the wisdom of the prosecuting team and that jury to see what's really going on here.
Yes.
Okay, so this is when he approaches the treadmill. And well,
And I think he turns it up, doesn't he, to make it go faster?
yep.
And I don't know about you guys, but I'm already give out watching that little boy run. That's a long time.
Yep. Not even stopping for a drink of water, a snack, or anything. So he turns it up, and then you're going to start seeing little Corey fall. So not only did he turn it up, he put it on an incline. Corey falls, and instead of saying, "Hey, buddy, you did great. Let's go get something to eat. Let's get something to drink." You see what happens. And he's got nothing to say. Exactly, Walking Dead. I am fuming.
Absolutely. Now, there must be more video than that because there's more video too, right? Where is that a different occasion? There's a video where when he falls, he actually picks him up and holds him kind of under his arms, trying to get his feet to go, as fast as the treadmill. And during one of those times where he picks him up and puts it back on there, he bites him on the head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't really want to biting on the head.
No. Mm-mm.
God. And this poor mama, I don't know why. Doctor, CPS, nobody would take her seriously. Oh my God. Well, we're going to hear straight from Bree. She's not on here. This is her testimony. Again, this is hard to watch. Again, there's nothing about this case I can make light of. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not a nickname out there that I can give him. He's just piece of shit. Piece of shit. And moderators, if people are in here blaming the mama, the grandma, or anything, don't time them out. Just let me know who they are because I really want people to understand how bad this case is. Please.
A son named Corey or CM.
Yes,
And is Corey no longer with us?
yes.
And what day did Corey pass?
April 2nd,
And what is Corey's date of birth?
May 1st, 2014.
And how old was Corey when he passed?
6.
April 2nd, she had him at the doctor to show the bruises and explain what happened on the treadmill. You're too fat. She wanted an emergency order to have him removed.
What in the world is wrong with that doctor? What day did he die? The day after?
The same day.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Same
Oh,
day.
my God.
Met her because they share custody is how I'm going to say it. And he gets him. That judge should have a life sentence right along with POS. They should be in the same cell together. I'm tired of these damn judges. It's not as much the social workers as people think. I'm tired of these damn judges not doing their jobs. They want a head pet. Everything's good. Everything's good. From what I'm understanding, the doctor turned over what he had, but he can't take Corey home with him. I'm so sick of that.
I know. It's infuriating. Does he still have his job after all this?
Yep. So does the one in Harmony Montgomery's case.
Oh my goodness. I'll be suing him.
Mm-hmm. You're a judge because you have good judgment. That's
I don't
what
understand why. I don't understand why they don't want to err on the side of caution. You know what I mean? Just until things can be further. I mean, I don't know what the problem is. I don't know why they can't err on the side of safety and just to be on the safe side in these cases. I don't understand these male judges putting them back with their fathers.
Nope. And I mean, I just can't make sense of it. I just can't.
And who is Corey's biological father?
The defendant,
And what is the defendant's name?
Christopher Gregor.
And have you known Christopher Gregor for several years?
Yes.
Now calling your attention to Saturday, March 27th, 2021, did you attend Corey's flag football tryouts?
Yes.
And did you meet the defendant there?
Yes.
And did you have a conversation with the defendant about you taking Corey back to your home in Englishtown for visitation?
Yes.
And can you please tell the court about this conversation and what the defendant said?
The defendant just told me I could take Corey back for the weekend at my house.
Now calling your attention to April 1st of 2021, at approximately 8:41, did you have a phone conversation at Jersey Shore Medical Center with the defendant in regard to where you were?
Yes.
And can you tell the court about that conversation?
Yes. The defendant called me and he wanted me to bring Corey home. He didn't want him at the hospital, but I insisted because he was there for a child abuse exam, and we started arguing and he just started verbally attacking me.
Give me that date and time again, Ms. Lento.
Sure, Judge. The question.
So she has him at Jersey Medical Center for a child abuse exam.
Mm-hmm.
The POS defendant says, get him out of there. Why? Because he knows what he's been doing.
Yes.
And that forensic pathologist has no reason to lie.
No.
Because he said this was chronic abuse. Let's look at this. Multiple contusions with different stages of duration, so different bruises that are healing.
Mm-hmm.
Epicardial contusion with myocardial laceration with acute inflammatory reaction. That's his heart.
Mm-hmm.
Small superficial laceration of the liver with inflammatory reaction and evidence of sepsis. These are older injuries. This didn't just happen on the treadmill.
Mm-mm.
Most livers, thank God for mine, can take a licking and keep on ticking.
Right. That's a serious deal, though, when you've got a laceration or a bruise on your liver and your heart. I mean, you can just imagine.
Seems to me that the blunt force trauma was straight to his chest and his side.
Yes.
It was for April 2nd, April 1st of 2021 at approximately 8:41 p.m.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Now calling your attention to April 2nd of 2021 at approximately 3:30 p.m. Did you have a phone conversation with the defendant in regard to your son, Corey?
Yes.
And can you tell the court what the defendant said in that phone conversation?
He told me Corey wasn't feeling good. That he was lethargic and he was throwing up and his legs hurt. He was just sick. And he asked me for Corey's insurance card and to send it to him.
And did the defendant tell you where he was taking Corey?
He said he was going to the hospital. He was taking Corey to the hospital.
And did he tell you which hospital he was going to take Corey to?
No.
So he wants the insurance card. God forbid he calls 911, considering he knows what he has been doing, and won't even tell Bree what hospital. She had to go through hoops, chutes and ladders to find out what hospital Corey was at. That is the amount of hate that this man has in his heart.
Oh my God, I cannot imagine. Can you imagine frantically trying to find your son when you already suspect all this stuff going on?
After you had him at the doctor for a child abuse exam?
Right. He's just evil. His hatred for her, obviously, is what was his thing. He was taking everything out on this poor little boy.
And I agree with Britt. He wanted mom to take Corey home because he didn't want to be responsible for what he did. He went way too far. He truly had no care if Corey survived. He only saw his own freedom in front of him. Yeah.
Great point.
He's at the doctor for a child abuse exam. Take him home, is what he said.
What happened with that? The doctor said what?
The doctor will be testifying, but basically
Yeah.
we're waiting on the judge to do this emergency removal. And
Right.
obviously the judge didn't get to it because Corey died.
Yeah.
Just check.
And are you familiar what's located on that flash drive?
Yes.
And what is located on S15A is a audio conversation between you and Corey, correct?
Yes.
And that conversation is from April 2nd of 2021, correct?
Correct.
And that conversation occurred at about 9 a.m., correct?
Correct.
Now, did you record what's depicted on S15A?
Yes.
And how did the recording occur?
What do you mean?
Was the audio recording recorded on your cellular phone?
Yes.
And did you purposely record this event or accidentally record this event?
Accidentally.
Okay, and how did you discover the existence of S15A?
Detective Dennis Mitchell called me during the investigation and asked me if I knew about it, and he just wanted to know more about it.
Now, during the course of the investigation, did you provide your phone to Detective Mitchell?
Yes.
And Detective Mitchell works for the prosecutor's office.
Correct.
And did Detective Mitchell locate this audio recording on your phone, which you provided?
Yes.
Now, you are actually on that audio recording, correct?
Correct.
So you recognize your voice on the audio recording.
Yes.
And who else is on the audio recording in terms of you recognizing that person's voice?
Corey.
And you view this before you came to court today?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to, well, I'm going to ask you this too. So I'm now showing you what's been marked S15B for identification. And can you tell us what that is?
It's a transcript of the video.
So did you, prior to coming to court today, review the audio video?
Yes.
And did you review this transcription and compare it to the audio video?
Yes.
And does that transcription accurately depict the conversation, which is depicted in S15A?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to publish S15A.
Any objection? Go ahead, please.
It's his right, and he needs to see it, because when you're a doctor, I just want to make sure he sees that, okay?
To start the
I'm not sure where it is.
start.
So, Brianna, is that you speaking on that video?
Yes.
And is that Corey speaking on that video?
Yes.
And does that audio video accurately depict your conversation with Corey on April 2nd of 2021 at approximately 9 a.m.?
Yes.
Now, Brianna, I'm also going to show you what's been marked. I'm now showing you what's been marked S18 for identification purposes, and can you tell us what that is?
It's a flash drive.
Okay, and are you familiar what is contained within that flash drive?
Yes.
And contained within that flash drive, there are 4 videos, correct?
Yes.
And the videos have been marked A, B, C, and D, correct?
Correct.
And you reviewed those videos before you came to court today, correct?
Correct.
And in regard to video A, you are actually depicted on that video, correct?
Correct.
And you're familiar with the location which is depicted on that video, correct?
Correct.
And video A is a video of the Atlantic Heights gym complex from March 20th of 2021, correct?
Correct.
And that video starts when you had dropped Corey off that day to his father at the complex, correct?
Correct.
And so you're located on that video, right?
Correct.
And can you tell the court who else is located on video A who you are familiar with?
Yes. The defendant and my son Corey.
Okay, and obviously you're familiar with the defendant, correct?
Yes.
And you've known him for several years.
Yes.
Now, bringing your attention to videos B, C, and D, you also viewed those videos, correct?
Correct.
And you're familiar as to who is located on those videos, correct?
Correct.
And can you tell the court who is located on those videos?
The defendant and my son Corey.
Now, the Atlantic Heights clubhouse gym area, you're familiar with, correct?
Yes.
And you've been there before?
Yes.
And about how many times have you been there?
Maybe once.
And you're familiar with the inside of the clubhouse gym?
Yes.
And are you familiar also with the outside of the clubhouse gym?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point, we've moved to publish A with the foundation laid.
No objection. Please go ahead.
He doesn't want to see it. Your Honor, at this point, we would publish the video. Does the court want to see video A?
Mr. Galucci, do you have any objection to the authentication of that video?
I don't.
All right, so no, the court's seen the previous videos. I've already made detailed rulings under Evidence Rule 901 as to the authentication and the manner in which they were seized, retrieved, and the chain of custody, including the forensic analysis. The purpose of this hearing is simply for a witness with personal knowledge to be able to identify the defendant and to identify Corey. So whatever you feel you need to do just to handle that issue on the record, I think if you just play a few moments of the video, that should be sufficient.
You want us to do that now, Judge?
I think so. I think we just, outside the presence of the jury, I think the witness needs to identify
Sure.
the defendant and the child on the video.
Okay, Judge, we can publish A, and then we can publish, I guess, B, C, and D. B, C, and D, she's not actually there in that portions of the video, but if we show a portion of that, I believe she would be able to identify the parties.
Well, I find she's got sufficient familiarity with both of them to be able to identify them on her personal knowledge, unlike, say, a police officer who doesn't personally know the defendant or the victim prior to the incident identifying them.
Thank you, Judge. Permission to publish video A, please.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Now, Brianna, you just viewed video A, can you tell the court who is present on that video?
Myself, the defendant, and my son Corey.
And who is the adult male that is located on that video?
The defendant,
And who is a child who is located on that video?
Corey.
And can you tell the court where are you located in that video?
I was in my car.
And calling your attention now to, I guess we'll go with video B, if we get permission to publish.
Please go ahead.
Just tell me when to stop. I'll have to fast forward through some of it.
Now, Brianna, you just observed video B. And can you tell the court who is the adult male located in that video?
The defendant,
And who is the child located in that video?
Corey.
And have you been to that gym complex?
I have.
And does that accurately depict the gym complex at the Atlantic Heights Clubhouse?
Yes.
And does it accurately depict what it looked like on March 20th of 2021 as shown in this video?
Yes.
Your Honor, in regard to videos C and D, I believe that there would be the same proffer by the witness.
Those would be redundant for the purpose of this hearing.
They are, Judge. They are videos that follow one another in a sequence.
Mr. Galucci, any objection to not playing those other videos at this hearing?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Any further questions?
No, Judge, thank you.
Mr. Galucci.
Good morning, Ms. Mitchell.
Good morning.
So the recording on April 2nd, 2021, when did you?
Okay, so this is POS's attorney.
Mhm.
He has seen the autopsy. He knows how this goes. So he's playing this game called smoke and mirrors. His job is to totally discredit Bree, even at the cost of justice for Corey. You see, all of these pictures, there's a bite mark, bruises on Corey on his head. There's a bruise, his eye. All of that, unless they can prove Christopher Gregor did it, is not against the law. Because kids play and kids play hard. This is his job, and he's making me sick.
First become aware of that recording?
When Dennis Mitchell called me and asked me about it.
Okay.
Mhm.
And do you recall when that was?
I would say a few months later.
Okay. So it was still in 2021?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did he tell you?
He just asked if I knew there was a recording the day that Corey passed away.
And did you know that?
No.
Do you know how that recording happened then?
It seems like it was by accident.
So you accidentally recorded the drop off of your son?
Yes.
Okay. Had you ever done that before?
Early on in the custody battle, yes.
Okay. So, but early on when you did that, did you do it on purpose?
Yes,
Okay. So this time you're saying it was not on purpose.
it was not.
And when you became aware of it, did you recall that conversation with your son?
I think so, yeah.
So you do recall?
I remember it, yeah.
Okay. Did you remember it after you heard it?
Yes.
No further questions, Judge.
Thank you. Anything else from the state?
Just one quick question. Can you tell the court what happened with your phone as to how the audio the recording occurred and the placement of your phone?
It was, I think, either on my lap or the chair.
No further questions, Judge.
Anything in light of that?
I'm good, Judge.
All right, ma'am. Thank you for coming in. Please don't discuss your testimony with anybody. I'm sure the state's going to call you back later this morning.
Okay, thank you.
Just watch your step.
Okay, so right there, he's trying to discredit her.
Yes, he is.
100%.
Mm.
There's such a thing as evidence, and Corey's body is the crime scene that speaks for itself.
Yes.
Now, he actually called CPS on Bree. This is where I get real twisted. Not that I think Bree did anything to her son. No way, no how.
Mm-hmm.
But just the ping pong match that they have going in the courtroom, it only takes one. So either you're going to have people saying, look, no way, this is from Rough Play. No way. Or you're going to have people going, hey, look, this is horrible.
It's very horrible.
Her name is Brianna, B-R-E-A-N-N-A, same last name.
Same last name as Corey?
Correct.
Okay, and where does she live at?
I'm unsure.
Do you have a phone number for her or any credit card net?
I don't have it readily available, but you guys have been involved numerous times with us, so I'm sure that it's in the documentation somewhere.
Okay, all right, and what were the concerns today for the sheriff?
So, essentially, his mother has put in an emergent application after filing,
For custody of the child?
yeah, so she was actually filed with the abuse allegation, was there's a worker that's actively involved. The worker that came out to the house unannounced for his first visit, had discussed with my son privately what happened to the solution that he had. My son had described that it was from football. Now, fast forward to yesterday, actually, it was this past weekend, my son's mother had, she had an entire weekend, and she had called me teaching on Friday, and she called again on Sunday, which kind of made no sense in my mind, considering she had him that entire time. Nonetheless, now fast forward to yesterday, the CCTV worker that we have been working with.
He's loving this. He's loving this. And I guarantee either his mom or his dad had him make this report with CPS.
Yeah.
Well, those bruises didn't for me. He just got back over here, and I mean I see he's got things wrong with him.
Yeah. Just being spiteful and revengeful. Trying to take the blame off of himself.
Covering his own ass.
Yep.
I mean that my son needed to go get an evaluation done within 7 business days or 7 days, excuse me. His son's mother then decided that to take it upon herself during the 3-hour visit yesterday to take my son to the doctor, to the hospital, and she just went video silent essentially from 7:30 until 1 o'clock in the morning. And I had no idea what was going on. She would not leave my son's side, and I was not able to be there for my son. And then furthermore, my son came back this morning, and he was saying to me that his mom said that he had to tell the doctor that I had hit him and things of that nature and coaching him. I tried to call up his worker, but of course he's not answering. She said that the caseworker told her to disregard the visitation and to go to the hospital. So, which I imagine is not the case. considering we had up to 7 days to do so, that it didn't have to be done the same day and against a court order.
But I can tell you that even not knowing this case at all, it's not something that CCPP would, restrict any sort of contact without any sort of documentation or court order involvement, kind of stating that. So that does not appear accurate. But I mean, and I can obviously know what you're telling me. I know that the worker didn't answer. The worker is probably, the offices are closed. So this information will get, passed on to a worker. That way they can see this information as part of the case. But no, there's nobody available at this point in order for you to speak to.
No, and I figured as much, but I wanted to document that my son at cable.
Exactly, just me. This is called damage control. He already knew that Bree was asking a lot of questions about injuries on her son.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to file his own report against her is 100% damage control. And if you think for a second that I would sit in a courtroom behind my own child and listen to these things, knowing that there is an autopsy that shows multiple contusions with different stages of duration, epicardial contusion with myocardial laceration with acute inflammatory reaction, small superficial laceration of the liver with inflammatory reaction and evidence of sepsis. This isn't the common cold.
No. And you know where it says epicardial contusion, basically the outside layer of the heart had the bruising. And when it talks about the laceration of the myocardium, that is the actual muscle of the heart that is trying to pump blood and, function properly. That's a big deal.
Now, what do you think, just in your opinion, caused him to have the seizure when he was having the CT scan?
Well, if he had sepsis at the time of when he was in, sepsis, again, it starts a domino effect. Your blood will start clotting in your bloodstream, and you don't get enough oxygen to the brain. And so you have a seizure. That's exactly what happened to my mother. That's exactly what happened. The blood just clots and it gets really thick. And they develop something called thrombocytopenia purpura, which is where basically a fancy way of saying there are diffuse blood clots all throughout the system. And no matter how much blood you put in, like if you're transfusing blood at wide, WFO, it's still not making up, and the body is converting it to the same thing when it goes in there. It's just a terrible, terrible sequence of events that occurs.
And had he given more information at the hospital, they would have taken Corey right back. They wouldn't have just taken his temperature because nothing appeared to be physically wrong with it.
No.
At the hospital, he woke up from a nap and he was stumbling around a little bit and he was nauseated. They think they're treating the stomach bug.
Right. They would have no idea just by looking at him, how serious the internal injuries were.
Goodness.
Today, after he was supposed to come home at 7:30 last evening, his mother refused to leave his side, so I was not able to be there for my son. And he said it was at the direction of DCP&P. And furthermore, the big issue for me is, she put in an abuse allegation, which she's done over a dozen times. And every single time he has said that it is not the case. He has said it to the worker twice, once on Friday, once on Sunday, when the worker came back out. Now, after she had him for an extended period of time yesterday and had him at the hospital and was coaching him to say that I hit him, he said it. So my big concern is just, that her coaching is going to be disregarded and it's only going to be regarded in his statement.
And I'll definitely make note of what you're saying, and the worker has to take all things into account. And I obviously can't speak for how the case itself is going to be managed, but I mean, you know, I will note everything that we're talking about and make sure that the worker gets a copy of it.
Yeah, because realistically, the worker has spoken to my son at my residence, and, you know, my son's very comfortable here, so there's no issues with that. And my son, you know, I need to know the worker was coming. So even if I wanted to do something like she did and coach my son to say a particular thing, I had zero time to do so. So, you know, like,
Oh, this allegation is too much. Tried to coach my son
Yeah.
into saying something that I had zero time to do.
Yeah. What a monster that is. I can't stand him. You know, if this was me, I'd probably be in the jailhouse.
Mhm.
I'm just saying. It
Oh.
makes you understand how sometimes people can do vigilante justice. I mean, that just, he infuriates me.
Yeah. And it's insane. It's like here you're trying to do what you're supposed to do. You know, you're getting documentation, you're doing all the things you're supposed to do. And the people that are there to protect you, more importantly, the child, are working against you because of effing paperwork.
Well, you know,
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Well, you know, he's talking about my son feels comfortable here, probably because he's scared to death. And when he got out of that car with his mother and was going into the exercise place there with his dad, man, his dad was just cold. He didn't even look like he acknowledged his presence. I don't know.
He didn't even come into his life till he was 4 years old.
Oh my God. Mm.
And, you know, the fact that Corey died at the hospital, they should have been able to question Christopher, but he was already out of the state on his way to Tennessee to hide out.
Well, say now that right there shows guilt, in my opinion. What are you running from if you didn't do anything wrong?
And there was tons of people, and I mean tons. You can go look at our playlist when they were putting up flyers all around town. Justice for Corey, justice for Corey, justice for Corey. His family was going around and taking him down.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. His mama was doing it.
Oh my God.
One of the first things first two things he said to me is, I don't want to go with my mom anymore. She's going to try to keep me away from you. And he also said that, mom told me to lie, I had to lie. And that was a huge concern of mine.
Yes, I'll definitely make notice. I do have some mandated questions to ask you about your household, as well as mom's household. And if you don't know the answers, you can just tell me that you're unaware.
Sure.
All right, what's the race and language of everybody involved?
White and English.
Any domestic violence, criminal history, or current substance abuse issues for anybody that you're aware of?
Not in my household, their household, yes. The mother has significant substance abuse issues with methamphetamines, amphetamines, and heroin. And I actually am highly concerned that she's relapsing at this time.
And well, the cat's out of the bag. It is no secret that Bree did at one time have a substance abuse problem. I think that is one of the reasons that they didn't take her as serious as they should have.
Yeah, that's too bad.
He's got a good job. He's got, this nice condo. He lives in, and here he is saying, well, I think she's relapsing. And she owned up to it. She explained what was going on.
Yeah.
And also he knows people in high places.
That's really not fair if somebody has a substance abuse problem and they have gone to treatment and they're trying to improve. That should not be held against them unless they're still actively using, in my opinion.
And his daddy being a state trooper didn't hurt what he was
Oh,
doing.
goodness, no. Oh, my goodness. This reminds me of another case, but I won't mention it.
I got you, girlfriend. I'm right there.
What can you say that she's relaxing at this time?
She's actually very erratic and it's extremely out of character for her. And there's no rationale around it.
Any special needs, disabilities, or diagnosed mental health issues?
Well, also I wanted to see that the mother's sister, so my son's aunt, who by court order is not supposed to be around my son, is around my son, and she just got out of jail for drug charges. And then there's also the maternal grandmother.
Any indication that the aunt is using around the child, and what's her name actually?
Her name is Nicole Mitchell, and last name. No indication that she's using around him, at least that I'm aware of.
And what were you going to say about the grandparents?
Maternal grandmother's boyfriend, who also lives at the household, is a two-time felon, convicted felony assault. And he was by court order not supposed to be there as well, but he is every time my son is there.
All right, and related to mom's drug issues, I know you said that you believe she relaxed. Any indications aside from acting erratic and irrational, like did anybody say they saw her influence or any specific evidence of her using drugs?
Not specific evidence in that regard. Also, she started hanging around her ex-boyfriend who she was living with. She's been around my son as well, which is also next court order.
Any safety concerns in either home for a worker? Any vicious animals, weapons?
No, not I'm aware of.
Any child prostitution, pornography, or forced labor regarding anybody?
Not here and not that I'm aware of over there.
Any international travel for anybody within the last 14 days?
No.
Anybody either having COVID-19 or suspected to have COVID-19?
No.
And anybody having any series of respiratory infections, coughs, sore throat, anything?
Oh, GTFO. Okay, I am not taken up for POS at all, but let me tell you something right now. When you're calling in a report like this, let's just say he's telling the truth, and you can hear click, 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 click. Anyone had international travel in the last 14 days? Click, 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 click. Anybody, any child pornography? Click, 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 click. No, not over here, over there. Anybody have COVID-19? Not that I'm aware of. No. We don't ask all these questions. You get your ass over there. That's what you do. He is a real shit. And I am real.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, babe.
It just seems real unnecessary at the time. You know what I mean? I mean, this is an urgent thing. If this is an urgent thing, then stop asking all these questions. How much did he weigh when he was born? I mean, give me a break. And I don't care if he has money and his daddy's a state trooper and he's got a good job and he wants to, reflect himself as this perfect father. He obviously thinks very highly of himself. I don't care who he is. He's a piece of shit.
He damn sure is. And I'm so sick of this systematic abuse. Okay, it starts at home. We got that. We've got that part. Okay, we know who's on trial for murder. First degree murder. And that is Christopher Greger. But I don't believe anyone should ever have to call an 800 number and put a report in of abuse of a child and wait for these imbeciles to investigate it before it goes to the police.
Yeah.
They're right off the bat, and then give it to the social workers for follow-up. It is bass-ackwards.
Yes, it is. And that needs to change. That's ridiculous.
100%. Hell, I was on the phone with Andrew Hiltz when I couldn't believe how I got him to do it. And he was calling about the abuse that he believes, not that he really gives a shit, that Candace did to Hunter. And they said, well, let me get a number to call. We work hand in hand. No, it shouldn't work that way.
No, that takes too long, too much time, too much red tape. People need to move on this immediately.
You take the report and you investigate it. I don't know what the hell has happened to our damn society, but it is sick. All right, so we heard the CPS, in my opinion, false allegations. I believe it's damage control and him trying to get ahead of the 8 ball because she was on to him. This is another part of Bree's testimony.
Yes. Would you have a seat, please? State your full name for the record and spell both of your names.
It's Brianna Mitchell, BREANNA,
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hunter.
Brianna, just before we start, I just want to remind you that you're going to have to keep your voice up, okay? The jury's going to have to hear you. So, Brianna, how old are you?
I'm 27,
And what is your birth date?
November 7th, 1996.
And where do you live?
East Brunswick,
And whom do you live with?
my boyfriend and daughter.
And do you work?
Yes.
And what is your occupation?
Data entry.
Who is Corey Mitchell?
My son.
And when did you give birth to Corey?
May 1st, 2014.
And how old were you when you gave birth to Corey?
17.
And what grade were you in when you gave birth to Corey?
11th grade.
And who is Corey's biological father?
The defendant.
Man, take this microphone and just slide it right in front of you, okay?
Okay.
Right in the middle there, towards the.
That's just part of the case.
Let me turn it a little bit closer. I want you to pretend that you're basically speaking all the way to the end of the jury box, all right? All the jurors need to hear you and see you. If they can't hear you down there, it's like you're not testifying, okay? So I know it may be difficult, but please try and keep your voice up.
So who is Corey's biological father?
The defendant.
And what's his name?
Christopher Gregor.
And how old were you when you first met Christopher Gregor?
16.
And do you know what the defendant's birth date is?
It's May 1992.
Now, you're familiar with Christopher Gregor, correct?
Yes.
And you've known him for many years, right?
Yes.
And you see him located in the courtroom today?
I do.
And can you please point to him and tell us where he's seated and what he's wearing?
He's sitting over there wearing a suit.
Identifying Mr. Gregor, Your Honor. So noted, thank you.
Now, is your son Corey no longer with us?
No. Well, yes.
And can you tell the jury the day he passed?
April 2nd, 2021.
And how old was Corey when he passed?
He was 6.
And what types of things did your son Corey like to do as a 6-year-old?
He liked reading, coloring, painting, playing outside.
And what type of demeanor did Corey have as a 6-year-old?
He was happy, silly, loving.
Permission to approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes, certainly.
Okay, I'm now showing you what's been marked S1 for identification purposes, and do you recognize that?
Yes.
Okay, and is that a picture?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors what that's a picture of?
Oh, that's a picture of Corey.
And did you take that picture?
Yes.
So you're familiar with your
Yes.
son Corey, who's depicted in the picture?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to publish S1?
Any objections? None. Are you ready to get the evidence first?
We can move it into evidence, yes. Move into evidence and publish.
No objection to the evidence? No, Your Honor. S1 evidence.
Now, Brianna, can you tell the jurors who's depicted in that picture?
My son Corey,
And how old was he in that picture?
6.
And who took that picture?
I did.
And can you tell the jurors what you were doing when you took that picture of Corey?
We were at the park playing in the snow.
Okay. Now, Brianna, how old was Corey when the defendant entered his life?
He was 5.
And was there a paternity test?
Yes.
And how old was Corey when it was determined that the defendant was his biological father?
Around 4.
And calling your attention to October 28th of 2020, were you and the defendant granted joint custody of Corey?
Yes.
And when that happened, who became the resident parent of Corey?
Christopher.
And when I say resident parent, can you tell us what that means?
He resided with him.
And did you have visitation?
Yes.
And was this ordered by the family court in Middlesex County?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness, counsel?
Yes, of course.
The order? Yeah, sure.
Okay, so she's explaining the timeline. Bree is. She was 16 when she met POS, 17 when she had Corey. Christopher is 4 years older than her.
I see.
So 20 years old.
Yep.
This wasn't exactly a consensual relationship. You see, in some states, I'm just going to put it out there, when a woman, and I'll say, can't really say for a man, a woman goes to file for state insurance, healthcare, food stamps or something, they're going to say, well, the old boy that you have this baby with is going to have to pay too. So next thing you know, they bring old boy in and say, piss in this. We're going to do a paternity suit. Next thing you know, he finds out he's a daddy. And he's like, well, then I want my son. And since she had been having issues with the substances, lives with her mom, he's got a good job, his daddy's a state trooper, the whole 9 yards, he gets custody and she has visitation. And don't get me wrong, I think a lot of men should have full custody because some of these women just don't get it right.
I can't believe they gave him full custody, though. He didn't even get involved in his life till he was 4.
Well, he obviously had a good attorney. And if you can prove that the other parent isn't doing what they're supposed to do, it doesn't take much. But in this case, it went terribly, terribly wrong. And no way in hell would Bree, her mother, or anyone in her family ever have allowed anything bad to happen to Corey.
pick up and drop off Corey at Christopher's home.
Okay, can you continue on, Brianna?
Wednesday evenings from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Brianna shall pick up and drop off Corey at Christopher's home. No one except Brianna and Rebecca shall be present in the home during Brianna's parenting time. And whoever has the child during a scheduled extracurricular activity shall transport him to the activity, however the other parent may attend.
Okay, and then going to number 3, does it talk about the parties unblocking each other from the other cell phone?
Yes.
And then going to number 4, does it talk about the parties shall engage in co-parenting counseling?
Yes.
And then going to number 6, it talks about the parties being barred from making disparaging remarks, correct?
Correct.
And then it go on to give a holiday schedule for Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Correct.
And what does number 8 say, please?
Brianna Mitchell shall have Skype calls or FaceTime calls with Corey on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays and Sundays during the weekends when Corey is with Christopher. Similarly, on the weekends that Corey is with Brianna, Christopher shall have Skype or FaceTime with Corey on Saturdays and Sundays. Neither party shall record these calls.
Okay. And the caption of this order is
And that's where the defense attorney was going with it, because part of the agreement, which I have a feeling was just served to her like shit on a spoon with a little bit of sugar on top. So if you have Corey, it can only be you and your mom around. Can't have any of your friends, can't have anyone else.
Yeah.
You and your mom. That's it. No new boyfriends, no people that you used to hang out with, nothing like that. When he's with me, you can Skype him, you can FaceTime him. When he's with you, I want to Skype him, FaceTime him, all that stuff. Here's our Thanksgiving schedule. Here's our Christmas schedule. He had money. She didn't, so couldn't fight.
Well, I'm so tired of people that have money get in their way, because these people that have money are not always the best pick. I mean, good God. I mean, this is a really hard case to deal with. I've got a grandson the same age, and it just infuriates me and upsets me tremendously. I can't imagine the feeling of helplessness and powerlessness that this woman had, because she tried to do everything she could to keep this child safe. That's a horrible thing.
And it's a dozen in one hand and a half dozen in the other when it comes to the family courts. It truly is.
Mm-hmm.
Because on one hand, you're documenting, involving doctors, filing your CPS reports, and they're like, no, because he's got this CPS report against you, and we already know that you're in recovery for substances.
Yeah. Wow.
Is it not insane?
It truly is, and it's just horrible. You know, a lot of times in these cases, you know, what's presented to the workers or the judge or whomever is just so far from true on how that person really is. You know what I mean?
My question is, where was Corey's attorney? Because family court, I don't care if you come in there with the dream team that O.J. Simpson had, where is guardian ad litem for Corey to stand up for him? Why was it never put into place? And if it was, I've never heard about it. I've been wrong many, many times before.
Well, I have a question. Did the child ever say anything to his mother or to anybody about what was going on with his dad?
I'd have to go back through the way she explained it when she was on, the panel. She just noticed bruises and things like that, and she took him to the doctor. And after the whole treadmill incident, And the thing is, Corey really, really, really wanted a daddy.
Yeah, so he probably didn't say much at all on his own. That's really sad because kids, they think, oh, that's my dad. That's my mom. There must be something wrong. I mean, they must be doing the right thing. I mean, the kid, did he not? I don't know how he felt, but I'm assuming he would be terrified of his dad. I would be.
I would be too. And goodness only knows what Christopher Gregor was telling him about his mother. Hey, this is why you're here with me now. Don't think there's any kind of psychological abuse going on.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the plaintiff in the matter?
My mom,
Okay, and who is listed as the defendants in the order?
myself, and Christopher.
Now, Brianna.
Now, I don't know if we all caught that because they're showing her different documents saying, well, what is this? My mom is the plaintiff. Who are the defendants? Myself and Christopher, because her mother wanted Corey out of the mess. She knew. Sometimes as we get older, we don't need hindsight. We have our own history. We have what we know in our brain.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's too bad that nothing didn't come of that.
Yeah, it's almost impossible for grandparents. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to really, really, really. A lot of times grandparents back off.
Have you struggled with substance abuse?
Yes.
And have you specifically struggled with drugs?
Yes.
And can you please tell the jurors about this?
Yes. In my early 20s, I struggled with drug abuse. When I was younger, I went through a lot, and I feel like I used the drugs to suppress my emotions. I didn't really have the coping skills that I do now. And like I said, I was just going through a lot, but I've been clean currently for a long time.
And have you ever used drugs in front of your son, Corey?
No.
And can you tell us why you were granted custody of Corey in October of 2020?
I went through a drug program and I provided clean urines, and I just fought really hard because I hated living without my son.
Now, calling your attention to September of 2020, where was Corey living?
In Barnegat.
Okay, and who was Corey living with?
The defendant.
And where did the defendant reside?
In Barnegat.
Okay.
Atlantic Heights.
Okay, when you say the Atlantic Heights, can you tell the jurors what that is?
It's an apartment complex.
And did the defendant move from his parents' home in Monroe Township to the apartment in Barnegat?
Yes.
And who else lived in the apartment in Barnegat with Corey and the defendant?
Just them.
Now, Rihanna, in October of 2020, can you tell the jurors where you were living?
In Englishtown.
And what type of home did you live in Englishtown?
A townhome.
And who lived in the townhome in Englishtown?
Myself, my mother's boyfriend, and my sister.
And can you describe for the jurors what the townhome looked like in Englishtown?
It was 2 stories with a finished basement.
And where was your room located in the house?
In the basement.
And can you tell the jurors how come you were living in your mother's home in October of?
I think it's pretty damn dirty that Court TV is putting up a picture of Bree with bright blue hair, and you can tell she's not doing well.
Right.
And I think what they're trying to do is get all this out of the way so the jury has time to absorb it and just realize that she cleaned it up. She
Right.
loves her son. Not loved, she loves her son. Her mother is an amazing person. And I mean amazing person. Bree is too. This family loves Corey. But this narcissistic abuser couldn't handle anyone having a one-up on him. She now has a daughter. She has a boyfriend that adores her. She's got a good job. I think she does some sort of data entry or something.
Mhm.
And she has fought like hell for her son. Guess who didn't? Christopher Gregor and his family. Matter of fact, years ago, I had quite an insane message from someone from his camp. And they said he did everything he could do to protect Corey from his mother because she was such a raging drug addict. And I was like, no, that's not what happened. No,
Oh my goodness.
that's not what happened.
2020.
I wasn't working at the time, so I couldn't afford it.
And about how far away is Englishtown, New Jersey from Barnegat, New Jersey?
About an hour.
Now, in October of 2020, what grade was Corey in?
He was in first grade.
And what school did Corey attend?
Cecil S. College.
All right, still with us, West Coast trial lawyer Ron Zambrano. Ron, tell.
And what happened due to the traffic?
I was late.
And besides the traffic conditions, why were you also running late?
Corey was enjoying himself, so I didn't want to just rip him away from that.
And who did you tell that you were going to be late that day in bringing him back?
The defendant.
And did the defendant send you a text message on March 20th at approximately 3:04 p.m. about you being late?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to approach?
Yes.
What did the defendant text you in regard to you dropping off Corey on March 20th, 21 at approximately 3:04?
He texted me, when you get here, please just drop him off.
And what was your response?
I said, okay.
And then what did he say next?
He said,
What did the defendant say next?
he said, this Friday, however long late you are, is how long after 4:30 you can come.
Can you continue, please? What did he say next?
FYI, this is beyond pissing me off now. My entire plans for today are ruined.
What did you respond?
I'm driving as fast as I can. There was traffic. I'm sorry. And he said, I don't care. Whenever you get here, we will take the difference in time from 2 o'clock until then. And that is how long we will add on to 4:30 for when you come on Friday now.
And then
Control, control, control. For one, she says Corey was having fun. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She says, and she's like, I'm driving as fast as I can. I'm in traffic. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract the time from the next time you pick up Corey. Control,
Yeah.
control, control. He could have easily been like, hey, don't rush. Don't get in a wreck. He's fine. I'm getting his stuff together right now. Okay. See you at 4:30 in a few days. No. Has to be conflict, drama, you name it. And this is the big one right here. I know I've played this a million times, but it rings true. This is what it really comes down to.
Drive a narcissistic person in a relationship are power, control, and domination. And the narcissistic person uses the relationship as a source of validation. If those needs are not being met or cannot be achieved, that is a contributor to the volatility of these relationships.
The volatility has to have that control, has to have that validation. And when he's not getting it, we've seen it in other cases, men and women, then we've got a problem. And who are you going to take it out on? She doesn't live with him. It's going to be the one he can control. And that was little Corey.
Can you tell us?
Yes. He said, I'm at the clubhouse gym. Just drop him off here. I said, okay. And then again, I said, he can't get in. And then I said, I apologize for being so late. And I mean it. I'm not saying this because I want you to change your mind about Friday. I will come at 6:45, no problem. It's understandable. But I did want to tell you that there was no ill intentions there. I didn't mean to be so late.
Okay, so the text message that you're referring to regarding the clubhouse gym, can you tell for the jurors what time that text message is from regarding Corey not being able to get in?
At 4:14 p.m.
Thank you, Brandon. So, Brianna, on March 20th of 2021, at approximately 4:15, did you drop off Corey to his father at the clubhouse gym at the Atlantic Heights apartment complex?
Yes.
And had you ever been inside the gym located at the clubhouse gym?
I have.
And can you just briefly describe what the clubhouse gym looks like?
There's weights and treadmills.
And where did you park when you dropped Corey off that day?
By the entrance of the clubhouse.
And did Corey have issues getting inside of the gym?
Yes.
And can you please explain what happened regarding Corey being able to enter the clubhouse gym on March 20th of 2021?
The door was locked. So I texted the defendant that he couldn't get in.
And then what happened after that?
He came and unlocked the door.
And what was the defendant's demeanor when he let Corey into the gym and then at that point in time?
He was very angry.
And at any point during this, did he come to your car?
Yes.
After you dropped Corey off on March 20th, 2021, when is the next time that you saw Corey?
I believe it was Tuesday.
Would that have been March 23rd,
yes.
2021? And on that particular day, did you drive to Barnegat?
Yes.
And did you drive there to visit Corey?
Yes.
And where did you visit with Corey that day?
The defendant's home.
And about what time do you think did you arrive at the defendant's apartment to visit with Corey?
Maybe 4:30.
And that would have been your weekday visitation with Corey?
Yes.
So it would have been like after the school day?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
And where was the defendant when you visited Corey?
He was home.
And did you stay over the apartment that night?
No.
All right. She's describing the defendant as angry.
Besides that bruise, did you see another bruise?
He had one on his chest. It looked like a scrape.
And where were you when you saw these bruises on Corey?
Corey and I went on a walk in the neighborhood.
And did you speak to Corey about the bruises that you saw?
Yes.
And where were you and Corey when you spoke?
We were on the walk.
And what was Corey's demeanor when you spoke to him about the bruises that you saw?
He just seemed upset and scared.
Now, calling your attention to March 26th of 2021, did you make a referral to DCP&P?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors who DCP&P is?
They are the Department of Children's Protection and Permanency.
Yeah, or people know them as DIFUS?
Yeah.
And how did you contact DCP&P?
Through the hotline.
And why did you make a referral to DCPMP at this time?
BS. 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 Again, bass-ackward. We don't call a damn 800 number to report abuse of our most vulnerable and precious citizens. You call 911. I have
Absolutely.
over and over and over and over from people saying, I turned it in. I have a case number. I mean, it's not like the police don't care. It's how it's set up. They have to get the referral.
Yeah, that whole system needs to be changed. There's too many children that are being harmed and, unalived. And the system that we have set up is not helping prevent that.
Nope.
There's too much time. There's no efficiency here. There's no urgency. It's just a bunch of red tape baloney.
It's like dealing with a damn insurance company.
There you go.
Over here and passed over here and passed over here and goes to a supervisor, waiting on an email. I emailed this person, waiting on a call back. Bullshit.
Right? I mean, that there should be a law or something. They should have to respond. I mean, in other professions and other places, like a doctor's office, a clinic, a medical place, you have to respond to things within 24 hours. That should have been something that they looked at immediately that day. But their system is set up that they cannot do that.
You're exactly right.
And then who suffers because of that?
And it also depends on what state you live in, because some states are like, police investigate and then give it to social work to follow up. But ever since this whole defund the police thing happened, we're pretty effed, if you want to know the truth. And we were effed before. Now we're double effed.
I felt like Corey's abuse was getting really bad, and I felt like they needed to do something about it.
Now, drawing your attention to Saturday, March 27th at 2021, did you see Corey that day?
I'm sorry, what day was it?
Saturday, March 27th of 2021. Did you see Corey that day?
Yes.
And where did you see Corey?
In Stafford or Barnegat.
And why were you at Stafford or Barnegat to see Corey?
He was having flag football tryouts.
And where did you go to see the flag football tryouts?
I think it was South Jersey, like Stafford or Barnegat.
Okay. And did you see the flag football tryouts?
Yes.
And who brought Corey to the tryout?
The defendant.
And how did you arrive to the field for the flag football tryouts?
I drove myself.
And why did you meet the defendant there that day?
He didn't want to drive with me because he didn't want to be seen with me. I'm too trashy.
And what type of contact was allowed for first grade flag football?
It's no contact.
What, if any, injuries did Corey sustain at the flag football tryout?
None.
After the flag football tryout, did you take Corey back to your house in Manalapan for visitation?
I did.
And where did you take Corey to?
My house.
And did you have a conversation with the defendant at the tryout about bringing Corey back to your home for visitation?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors what the defendant said in regard to you bringing Corey back to your home?
He told me just to take him for the weekend.
And were you expecting that you were going to be able to take Corey home from tryouts?
No.
And that occurred during the tryout?
Yes.
Now, in regard to the court-ordered visitation schedule, did you and the defendant always follow what was specifically said in the court order?
No.
And can you tell the jurors why not?
I'm not sure.
Well, what about, would there be circumstances which would,
Oh, yes, Christopher would let me take him to my house knowing the people that he didn't want to be there were there a few times.
okay. When did you bring Corey back to the house in Barnegat after you brought him to your home after flag football?
On Sunday.
And can you tell the jurors what time did you return Corey to his father the next day?
Around 6.
And while Corey was at your home after the flag football tryouts, what if any?
Now, before, we get to it, because obviously you see it on the screen, Bree, and I believe her, says Corey was conceived from a sexual assault. And Christopher Gregor was abusive since he came into his life in 2019.
Oh, I believe that.
Yep.
I mean, he's just sitting there looking like a pompous ass right now.
And you all know me. You know, I'll call a spade a spade. I've never not believed Bree. And when all those assholes were coming after me saying, how dare you point the finger at him? How dare you accuse him? Who's on trial for first-degree murder now? Who? Not me.
Nope.
Certainly not me. Okay, I'm going to get to this part real quick.
Those text messages, when is the next time you heard from the defendant?
The next morning, or that morning.
Now, was Corey released from Jersey Shore Medical Center?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors about his blood work?
It was all normal.
And what about in regard to any x-rays or scans?
That was normal as well.
And was that text message at approximately 11:43, was that the last time that you had contact with the defendant that evening?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors why would you try to bring Corey back to his father's house from Jersey Shore Medical Center?
So I didn't break.
Okay, so Corey was at Jersey Medical Center. This is for the child abuse exam, okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They did blood work. They did x-rays. And they said everything was normal. So they sent him home. Could have been something from flag football. That's what the bruises could be from. But then things went way bad. Have you ever second guessed yourself and thought, hey, maybe I was wrong? And I'm not saying that's what Bree did. This is not about her. You
Well,
think,
sure.
Maybe I'm being silly.
Yes, because I see things sometimes with my youngest grandson that put me on alert. But as far as I can determine at this time, there's nothing going on. But it's just a terrible situation. I don't know if they'd done a CAT scan or MRI. I wonder if they would have seen, further into the body.
I think that would have been different, but I can tell you right now, there's no damn state insurance. It's going to say as a preventative measure, we're going to scan this 6-year-old.
No, it's too expensive. Too much money.
And that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
Hell, if he MRI'd me right now, I'd light up like a damn Christmas tree. They'd find so much shit wrong with me.
The court order.
Now, after you left Jersey Shore with Corey, can you tell the jurors where you went?
I went to my house in Englishtown.
And how long of a ride was it?
About 45 minutes.
And what was Corey's demeanor in the car ride?
He was tired. It was 1 a.m. and he fell asleep in the car.
And about what time did you then arrive at your home?
I want to say like around 1:30.
Okay. And when you got to your house, can you tell us who was awake?
No one.
And when you got to your house, where did you and Corey immediately go?
We went to my bedroom.
And where was your bedroom located in the house?
In the basement.
And where did you and Corey sleep that night?
We slept in my bed.
Okay. And while you slept in bed with Corey, what was his physical condition?
He was okay.
And can you tell the jurors what Corey's demeanor was while you slept in bed with him?
Normal.
And can you tell the jurors why you slept in bed with Corey that night?
It was just easier because it was really late and I just didn't want to get him ready in his room.
What time did you and Corey wake up the next morning?
Around 7:30.
And when Corey woke up, did you dress him?
Yes.
And where did you dress Corey?
In my room.
And what did you dress Corey in?
I put him in a sweatshirt, jeans, and sneakers.
And what about his underwear?
They were blue underwear.
And what was the condition of the clothes that you dressed Corey in?
They were clean.
And after you dressed Corey, where did the two of you then go?
We ate breakfast in the kitchen.
And when you went upstairs to eat breakfast in the kitchen, who was there?
My mom and her boyfriend, Richie.
And did Corey have breakfast?
Yes.
And did he eat?
He did.
And do you remember what he ate?
He ate a bagel and a Go-Gurt.
And were you with Corey the entire time that he was eating breakfast?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors what was Corey's physical condition in the morning when he was eating breakfast?
He was okay.
And what about his demeanor?
Normal. He was fine.
Now, that morning of the 2nd at approximately 6:48 a.m., did you receive a text message from the defendant?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness?
Yes.
Yes, can we see that? All right. Do you want to see it? It's the other, the rest of them. You saw them already?
Okay.
Up. That morning.
Around 9 a.m.
And when you got there, where was the defendant's car?
I'm not sure. It wasn't there.
And did you text the defendant asking where he was?
Yes.
And what did the defendant say to you in regard to where he was?
He said he was home.
And before Corey had left the car, did you provide Corey with a piece of paper?
I did.
And what did you give Corey?
It was a paper from the hospital that had information so the defendant could look at his records.
And why did you do that?
I was just being nice.
And did you speak to Corey in the car before you sent him into the defendant's home?
I did.
And was that the last time that you spoke to Corey?
Was.
Did Corey exit your car?
He did.
And can you tell the jurors where Corey walked?
He walked inside defendant's home.
And how was Corey walking when he went to the defendant's apartment?
Fine.
And did Corey open the apartment door of the defendant's apartment?
Yes.
Now, continuing on in the morning of April 2nd of 2021, were you and the defendant arguing?
Yes.
Okay, permission to approach S11. Grant, I'm now showing you what's been marked S11 for identification purposes. And again, are those text messages that were contained in your phone? And you're familiar with those messages?
I am.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move to publish and into evidence of S11.
No objection. S11 evidence.
So, Brianna, starting with the top message, can you please tell the jury about your conversation with the defendant?
Yes, at 9:48 a.m., I said, "Stop being so cocky. If I were you, I definitely wouldn't be."
And then what did the defendant respond?
He said, "Yes, I am a ludicrous charge by you that when you went to court yesterday was completely thrown out and disregarded."
And can you continue with his next message?
He said, "Shows how much evidence there is, doesn't it? You're going to be in for a rude awakening today."
So, Brianna, what is the next time that you heard from the defendant on April 2nd of 2021?
Around 3:30.
And did you speak to the defendant on the telephone?
Yes.
And at 3:30 on April 2nd, what did the defendant tell you about Corey?
He said he was lethargic. His legs were hurting. He was sleeping all day. And
Okay, give me a second to collect myself because it's very hard to watch her at this moment.
Yes, it is.
He was lethargic. He was sleeping. Now, when they had breakfast, he ate and he was fine. She got him dressed. His demeanor seemed to be the same.
That little boy walking around with injuries, probably trying to act like he's not. That's something that I wonder.
That's what I want to know too. And in an emergency room setting, yes, you don't have to have a referral. You can just do an MRI. But when a 6-year-old is in there, they're just not going to jump to that. They're not.
No.
It has to make sense. All right, we're back to it.
He was throwing up and just didn't feel good. And then he told me to send Corey's insurance card to him.
And did you send the defendant?
All right, we do need to hit the pause button.
Hospital Corey was taken to?
Yes.
After the phone conversation, did you know at that time what hospital Corey was taken to?
No.
And at that time, what did you do?
I started calling the hospitals to see if Corey was there. I also called my local police department to kind of report Corey as like, I don't know where he is, and he's not feeling good, he's sick.
And about 6 o'clock that day on the 2nd, did the police come to your home?
Yes.
And Did you learn at that time that Corey had passed?
I did.
Now, on that same day that Corey passed away, did you?
Okay, this is a lot to take in. So Christopher Greger, the POS, says, I need his insurance card. He's lethargic. He's throwing up. So she's calling around.
I can imagine.
She's calling the police. She's calling different hospitals. Police come to her house at 6 o'clock saying he's passed away. Now, the significance of the underwear is the same as the significance of everything she put him in. They're just trying to prove her credibility. Does she even remember what happened that day? I put him in a sweatshirt, jeans, tennis shoes, blue underwear.
And unlike so many of these people we talk about, she knew exactly every little detail. And I'm sure it's been seared in her brain now forever. It's so frustrating. I feel like when there's a suspected child abuse case that they should do those MRIs and all that workup and stuff, and the state should have to pay for it because
I think it should be all hands on deck and not with social workers. I think it should be.
No.
If a doctor says, I suspect child abuse, don't wait on social workers. I'm not picking on social workers to put it in front of the judge. And I think what's going to change it is lawsuits flying through and hold these damn judges accountable. Why can't they get sued? You can sue the police. You can sue your attorney. You can sue your doctor. You can sue your real estate agent. Hell, you can sue Uber if you feel like you got a whiplash for going too fast down the highway.
Right. You really can't sue a judge?
Nope, not for bad judgment. Look at Herman Montgomery. That guy's still on the bench.
Oh.
Nurses can get sued.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you name it.
Go to the police station and provide a statement?
I did.
And whom did you speak to?
Detective Dennis Mitchell.
And what did you give to Detective Mitchell at the police station?
My cell phone.
And did you voluntarily provide that to the detective?
Yes.
And did you also allow officers to photograph your home in Englishtown?
Yes.
Grant our permission to approach. Brianna, I'm now showing you what's been marked S21, S20, S23, S19, S35, S32, S33, and S24, and S34, and also S24. Now calling your attention to S22, are you familiar with the area
Yes.
depicted there? And can you tell the jurors what that is?
It's a TV stand in my bedroom.
Okay, and in your hand, you're holding a what?
Photograph.
Okay, and you're familiar with that because it's in your bedroom?
Correct.
I'm now showing you what's been marked S23 for identification purposes. And can you tell the jurors what that is?
This is my bedroom.
Okay, and what you're holding is what, a photograph?
All right, we do need to squeeze in a break, right?
Okay, so we've heard her describe taking him to the doctor, the flag football, that his blood work was fine, his x-ray was fine. We know that Christopher Greger was furious that she had him at the doctor for a body map of child abuse. And it was kind of like it's my way or the highway. Now, this is after the Treadmill incident. Speaking of, I found the craziest thing, and I don't even know how it came across. Totally off topic.
Yeah.
Must something up. She's like, hell, you can sue McDonald's for making you too fat. Well, I mean, nobody made you go to McDonald's, but there was a woman that took her cat to the vet. Now, this is a sad story. Don't get me wrong.
Mm.
This cat is just nothing like Prince OJ, okay? It's a stray cat. You know, no lineage or anything, no special stuff like OJ's made of.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, they got this cat confused with another cat, and they put that cat to sleep.
Oh, my goodness.
She sued and received $500,000.
Oh, my goodness.
Could you imagine?
No.
For pain and suffering. Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, don't get me wrong. If OJ went to the vet to have his claws trimmed or something, and they put OJ to sleep, I'd own that damn veterinarian's office.
Right.
But God, $500,000. OJ's looking at me like, what do you mean? You should be like $500 million for me.
There you go.
So this
You know,
was
the whole system needs to be changed, you know? I mean, it needs to be a national thing where every state has the same protocol. I mean, how many more kids have to suffer and die before somebody says, okay, you know what? This system is not working. There needs to be a complete overhaul of the system. I'm really tired of hearing, well, you know, the CPS workers, they're just overworked and understaffed.
They're not
Okay.
investigators.
Okay.
Who want to investigate a crime or a suspected crime. Detectives do that, not chicks sitting at their desk eating chili cheese fries.
No. And I think it all needs to be the same. I mean, and it should be bad. And I do not like Governor Ron DeSantis or whatever his name is, but I really love that new law that Florida passed about what happens to people if they are guilty of child abuse or child harm. They're going,
Texas, Oklahoma, Idaho. I love how the new chief of Tulsa Police said, if you suspect child abuse, you call us. Don't call Department of Human Services. We'll tell them if we need them. You call us.
yeah, one of our most precious resources. And let's just fiddle fart around till somebody gets time to get out there.
Ryan Ash said you have a cat named OJ. Yeah, he actually sells T-shirts too. It's a long story. If you purchase one of his T-shirts, there you go. There's a.
Aw.
And now, okay, so this is the scene that we see when POS shows up to the hospital, and that's after the painstaking, heartbreaking testimony we heard from Corey's mama. You're going to have to look at your screen. I know a lot of people are exercising, mowing the lawn, they're at work. Watch how he does this. And don't
Okay.
He dumps him off, he gets back in his car, and he hightails it out of town. I think he packed his bags before he got there because he knew what was going to happen.
Yep.
Now, in regard to the video that we just viewed, did you observe the defendant coming into the hospital lobby area?
Hang on, look at him again. Corey is limp as a noodle. New Jersey state troopers had to go down to Tennessee and find him to question him. What father would not stay at the hospital to make sure their child was okay?
I don't know anybody like that. That's just consciousness of guilt right there. He knows he's done something.
Look at him again. He had time to call Bree and say, I need the insurance card because it's all about him. I don't want to get billed for this.
Yeah, what a jerk.
So I'm going to dump him here. I've packed my bags and I'm out of here.
So Mr. Perfect didn't have a copy of the insurance card, huh?
Nope. He didn't even carry insurance on him. This is state insurance.
Yep.
Whew. This has been a lot to take in, guys.
It really is.
I am so sorry to put you all through this, but my goodness, it has to be done. And we are going to cover the verdict because I want to see his filthy face when that gavel goes down and says guilty.
Absolutely.
This woman through so much, her mother, everyone.
He
And
just terrorized people ever since the assault. He just terrorized them.
Mhm. And I don't know that when things went down and they said that Corey's going to live with him, if they were aware of the sexual assault. I don't know. Maybe Bree didn't want Corey to know about it and just wanted to keep it to herself. I don't know.
Right.
But again, we have an entire playlist, so please go through it. And we're not done with this. We are not done. But tell you what, on a personal note, I just want to say that I do understand that there are a few people that are upset with me. They do not like the way that I'm talking about certain cases. They didn't like the show yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been really hard for me because it may not seem like it, but I do work really hard on this channel and I've been doing it for a long time.
Yes, you do. And you put your heart in everything you do. And people that don't know that and don't know you are the ones that are probably saying those things because we know you, those of us that have been around for over 2 years and so on and so forth. We know you. We know why you do what you do and how you do what you do. I love your sense of humor. You work very hard on this. You go above and beyond. And if people are upset with you, then just don't even watch. I could care less. I know that bothers you, but at the same time, it's like, everybody has a right to their opinions. We're all grown ass adults. If you don't agree with something, you don't have to cause a big ruckus and draw more attention to yourself. I just really don't understand people being so upset with you. I don't think it makes any sense. It's your channel, it's your show, and all you've ever done is try to advocate for victims. And sometimes that means saying the true ugly.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, you have to. You can't candy coat these things.
No. I mean, you have a really good sense of humor, and we need that on these serious cases. And I don't even think that a lot of people understand that either. But it just makes it's not because we're laughing at the crime or the victim or anything like that. We're just trying to lighten it up so that we can take a breath for a minute, because everything is so terribly horrifying. And I appreciate that myself. I appreciate your sense of humor. I love it.
Mama She, what are you doing with that super sticker? When I see you in Nashville, I'm gonna put you in the corner.
Oh
Now,
my goodness.
This isn't a pity me or anything. It's a sincere apology. I'm really not here to piss everybody off. But on that note, I can fuck up real good. So hang around, because I've done it before and I'll do it again. Trust me.
Well, you're a wonderful person. And when you're wrong about something, which has not been very often, in my opinion, hardly at all, you own it. You take accountability for it. And I think that things like people getting upset with you affect you a lot more than what other people know. And it's not fair, because you're basically just presenting facts and information. Don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah, well, and I just want everyone to know from the bottom of my heart, I certainly have not been trying to upset anybody. I know 2024 has been a rough year, a big, tight, rough year. And nothing was ever meant to upset anyone. And I just hope everyone knows that. But I'm going to keep on keeping on. Okay, Muscles is getting the next spanking, even though she'll like it. And what about us, we laugh at. We just joke. We just joke about it. Crime lines and lesbians, all that stuff. We're like, oh, wow, didn't know that. We can just make a joke out of it.
Well, I'm 60. I hate to say that, but I am. I'm really 40. But one thing that I've learned in my life, obviously, everybody else has too. You can't please everybody. And there's nothing wrong with what you're doing, how you're doing it, or the way you're doing it. And if people don't like it, they can just not watch. Turn the channel. Go somewhere else. Go to hang out on the farm.
I do it 20 times a night when me and OJ lay down and we're eating his chicken nuggets. I see something that I don't like, I just turn it off. That's it.
Right.
It doesn't affect me in the slightest at all.
No.
And when it comes to, crime, I can't at all cover all of it. No way, no how. But there are channels that I go to for like cases I don't cover. Like I have said on here before, like Jewels of All Trade. I said, I quit talking about the Idaho 4 case because she's got it down pat. I want an update. I watch it over there.
Absolutely.
Gina Missy, you're getting the next spanking.
Uh-oh.
I watch every morning. Well, you guys are the absolute best. I just wanted you to know that what's been going on with just some craziness is not intentional. And I will try to handle it better. Oh, I tell you who really is wanting her ass whipped. And that's someone who I can't whip, and that's Muscles and Mascara. Look
oh,
at
wow.
that. I gotta play the music. You guys are making me blush. Actually, you're gonna make me cry. And
Well,
I
you know
can't.
what? Go
What?
ahead.
No, you go ahead, baby.
Well, I mean, this is a great community. It's very supportive. We have a lot of fun, and that's a reflection on you. You are responsible for the channel, for all of us coming back every day. We want to hear your thoughts, opinions, and your presentations. And you're a wonderful person. Don't you ever let anybody make you feel like you're not. Ever.
Well, I just know that you guys are the channel. The channel is not me. You guys are the ones that give the like, you share it, you put things in your groups to keep everything going. I couldn't do that on my own. There's no way. It's funny, like I'll go into a Facebook group, it'll pop up on my feed, and I'm like, well, who put that in there? And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And I just get the best little giggle, and I'm like, okay, wow.
Right. Well, you know what Billy Currington says, God is great, beer is good, and people are crazy.
People are crazy. I agree with that 100%. But you know what? I love our crazy crowd.
Me too.
I love our crazy crowd. Mod Squad, I don't know how you're doing it over, well, this whole year. I kind of hope 2024 will be cooler for us. But it has certainly slung quite a few curveballs your way. We will be adding some more moderators soon. So if I know you and you've been a member for a while, let me know if you're interested. The rules are real damn easy. Real easy. I'll put you through Pat K's boot camp. How about that?
Uh-oh. There you
Yep.
go.
Who wants that? All right, you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I shall be back tomorrow because you can't keep my fat ass down. No way.
We don't want to keep your ass down.
Nope. Muscles goes, and people are effing crazy. Love you, Muscles.
Thanks for having me at Brooks.
Always. And thank you so much for giving, your insight into this case. And all of you on Court TV is where they're covering the trial of Corey. We are going to continue discussing this because I want to see the verdict because we have really, really been invested in this. If you want more of the back history, we do have a playlist on the channel and it's pinned in here. So I will see you guys back here tomorrow morning. Make sure you wear your pink and just keep being the best freaking effing people on these nasty streets. Love y'all.
We're out of here, girl.
We're out.